Hey guys, welcome back to this edition of Cover One Buffalo post-game show. Running a little bit late today. I was at the game, so I'm a little bit got a little bit of a scratch in my voice. My shirt's a little saggy. I'm a little red in the face from the sun. Hot day out there today, so thanks for bearing with us and waiting around for us to go live with this post-game show, as we usually do it pretty much right after the game, but just weren't able to today. But joined here with my buddy Rob Quinn, no relation. We get asked that all the time, but no relation. But Rob, you got to watch the game on TV today, man. How'd you enjoy it?
A little better than last week. Scored a touchdown, so that was nice to see. But I mean, not a lot of positives to take away, but it was good to see in the second half Josh Allen kind of put things together. Still, the offensive line was an issue again,
Yeah.
but I mean, for this team, I think this is a rebuilding year, but we saw what I think we're going to see a lot of this season.
Yeah, no doubt, and definitely a lot of interesting things were said at the game live. Definitely, people have their opinions as it's going on, but I try to just sit back as a fan today and just watch the game. So I didn't take a lot of notes. I'm going to kind of refer to you on some of the things that you probably got to view through the TV angle, and some things that I saw that I want to get a better. I haven't gotten to do a rewatch yet, so I'm going to refer to you on some of that stuff. So we'll get into the game here. Before we get into that, guys, I'm not going to go through the whole pitch today because we're going to keep this short and sweet. But make sure you head over to cover1.net. Rob was working hard tonight with Fernando and all the guys, pumping out content for this post-game stuff. So go check out all the content over there for all your post-game needs. And you know us at cover1.net. We're going to keep you covered with everything all week long leading up to the next game. So head over there. We'll talk about it a little bit more at the end. I want to get right into this, man, because like you said, there wasn't a ton of good to take away, but you know me, I try to look for the silver lining and stuff. And I did see some things that you can take away. But before we get too deep into this game itself, I had an interesting conversation with a guy heading out of the stadium. And it's something we've talked about a lot. It's people are done with the process. People are done with McDermott already and Bean. And a lot of people are throwing shade at these guys. And I just want to tell people real quick, the process that they warned us about since the first day McDermott came in and he started talking about that and everyone made fun of him. That process wasn't about making the playoffs and the good things that happened last year. That process is this ugly, mucky, knee-deep, crappy football that we're seeing right now. That is the process that he warned us for a year about, to trust him and to trust them when that process comes, to trust those guys that it is part of the process. And I don't think people understood that. Am I right in that, man, or am I missing the boat on the process? Whoa, we lost you, Rob. You there? Well, it looks like I lost Rob for a second. Rob, if you do come back in, uh, just pop back in the conversation. But so anyway, I do think the process is this part of football that we're dealing with right now. And it's not pretty. And it's something that we're probably going to have to deal with all throughout the season, guys. It wasn't good football the last 2 weeks. But like I was just saying to Rob, I do want to get his opinion on that when he comes back on the process. But uh, I did see some silver lining in this game, but it's hard to find where that silver lining was. And I'll tell you where, Robin mentioned that the offensive line didn't perform well, but at least from my view in the stadium, not watching on TV, I don't think they did that great of a job, but I did think that they did decent job at times in pass protection, which we saw a little bit last week. Both quarterbacks, both Peterman last week and Allen this week, held on to the ball for quite a long time. So if they're doing that, then definitely pass protection's holding up. So not all terrible with the offensive line, but definitely a lot of terrible there with the offensive line. We got Rob back in. Rob, you there? Nope. Cannot hear him. So Rob's going to keep messing with his technical difficulties over there. But yeah, so I'm going to have to go back and look at the tape a little bit. I'm gonna have to go back and look at the tape a little bit about the offensive line, because definitely Shady did not get going again today, guys. And this offense is going to really struggle to even stay in games if LaShawn McCoy or the running game isn't going. Fans at the stadium were really frustrated that they continued to go to the run. I said, that's something that they're going to continue to do even when they're down. They're going to keep trying to go to the run, because they have to get that going at some point. You can't just abandon it, especially with a rookie quarterback. You cannot abandon the run on him like that. There were a few drives. I think once we do get to look at the all 22 and all that stuff and the game replays, that you're going to go back and wonder why they pushed the run so hard in certain situations. But with a rookie quarterback, I thought it might have been the first or second drive they came out and run, and then put him in a 3rd and long situation. That's not the ideal scenario for a rookie quarterback to come out and play in. What are you going to do, though? Like I said, they really want to establish that run, get LaShawn McCoy going. He's clearly the best player on the offensive side of the ball, and if you can't get the ball in his hands, you can't just throw screen passes throughout the game the entire time. You got to get the ball in his hands through the run game and keep the defense honest. And that's the only thing that's really going to help this rookie quarterback progress as he goes along. So there's definitely issues with the offensive line. I'm not going to sit here and say there weren't, but I do think if there's a silver lining in the offensive line a little bit, like I said, the quarterbacks have been holding on to the ball too long. And that's because they are getting some protection. Their pass protection hasn't been all terrible all the time. Definitely, Allen was running around for his life a little bit today. That's going to happen with an offensive line that doesn't have any real stars across it, except for Dawkins. So he's going to run around a little bit, but I did see some times where the pass protection looked pretty good, especially considering that the Chargers, are such a good defense. It looks like Rob might be back. Rob, you back? No, he's not back. So he's still trying to work on that over there. That's all right. I can keep talking. I can talk for days. But so outside of the offensive line, we know the running game didn't really get going. Josh Allen, we'll get right in Josh Allen. Josh Allen's first start gets a round of applause when he comes into the stadium. People love it. It takes a little bit to get going. But I was impressed with Allen. Not everything they did today. Obviously, he had a few throws. There was definitely some open receivers downfield. I was sitting up in the nosebleeds, and you could see some open receivers a few times. That's going to happen. I'm not really worried about that. But the things that I saw that I liked were, again, when the pass protection broke down, you got people in his face. He just kept going. When he threw that first interception, he just came back out, kept going. That type of mental toughness. Obviously, we didn't have that displayed with Nathan Peterman, and Josh Allen was able to display that all throughout the game and keep the team going. I didn't see it, but I saw it on Twitter when I got home, him rallying the defense on the sideline one play. Like, stuff like that is what I wanted to see out of Josh Allen, coming in, being your quarterback for 4 quarters in a game. Who is this guy? And I think we got to look at it today. I think we got a nice little look at maybe what the potential for him can be. Clearly not a lot of weapons on the team. Guys weren't, while he missed a few guys open, there was a lot of stuff. We say the quarterback holds on to the ball too long, but there are guys just sitting back there, not getting any separation, not getting open. And right now he doesn't have that trust with some of these guys to throw it to them when they're not open. And I think he's got to get a little bit of that with KB, Kelvin Benjamin, because I think he can be the kind of guy that you do. Some Mike Stock says, I hear Eric Turner's retiring midstream. So yeah, let's jump out of Allen for a second and talk about that, because that's obviously, the internet is buzzing with the Vontae Davis retirement at halftime. I didn't even know. I figured Vontae was not playing well. He got hurt. They didn't say anything in the stadium, obviously, but I saw that he wasn't out there. And Lafayette Pitts was getting reps, and you never like to see that, to be honest. But yeah, so then I was seeing on the Slack channel on my phone, the Cover One Slack channel, which if you're a premium member, you get access to that, and seeing that he retired midway through the game. Totally crazy. Never heard anything like that in my life. So not really sure what to really say about it. I guess later he has come out and said that it wasn't, people running with stories. The Bills are so bad, and Vontae Davis retired because he can't stand playing for the Bills anymore. Clearly that wasn't the case. had issues getting into the lineup, as all Bills fans know. He had issues getting into the lineup for week 1. Even before that, he was having issues where he was struggling to beat out EJ Gaines. I think Trey White kind of alluded to him being an old guy in the Embedded series, saying like, oh, you know, just kind of teasing on him where he cracks when he walks and old body and things like that. So I think it all kind of just caught up to Vontae. He got out there today. And like he said in his letter, just as soon as he got out there, he felt he wasn't like himself. Don't like a quitter at all. I wish he would have just, you know, at least stayed on the sideline with his team the whole game, told the coaches, and not just left at halftime. I think that's really weird. I don't like that type of mentality. So good riddance, you know, if you got to go. But the one part I guess I do respect is knowing when to quit when it's not your time anymore. But I wish he would have just played out the game, or at least stayed on the sidelines for his team for the game. I thought that was a little bit of a selfish move. Definitely probably some frustration for him going through that, but definitely a wacky thing. A bit of a wacky game, guys. And I'm seeing in the chat box, Gregory is right there about we do. I think because he's on the game day roster, he is going to be dead cap money for the Bills. Whatever, they have a ton of dead cap. I'm not really worried about that. So, you know, Andrew's saying the tank is on. You know, you guys say tank, I say process. I think that this is, you know, last year, a lot of people said they were going to tank. I think that they had a better year than expected. I think this is a 4 to 6 win team. I think they're going to win a couple games. I think they're going to win some games that you may not expect them to win. So I don't know that's a full tank. I don't think they're a good football team. And it might just come down to that. But yeah, this was a wonky game. So you have the Vontae Davis retiring at halftime. You have Taiwan Jones. I didn't get to see it at the stadium. Saw some of the hits later on. Taiwan Jones getting cut wide open, I guess. His helmet popped off on a odd punt play. Takes it, gets it in the end zone. His helmet pops off, gets hit right in the face, helmet to helmet. The crowd did not like that. I'll tell you that right now. The crowd didn't like it. I'm not sure if you heard that over the television or not, but definitely a scary moment. Up in where I was sitting, you couldn't tell that he was bleeding. You just saw him not moving, and you saw a lot of the players looked really shook in that moment, on their knees, people slamming helmets. Definitely a weird scene on the field. So look, thank God he got up and walked off, and it looks like he's going to be okay. Nothing too crazy outside of just a really weird play, and it looks like it split his head, and hopefully he's okay and he's not concussed or anything. I haven't seen any of the injury report there, but just a weird game. Stuff like that was happening for him. I did think so. Yeah, the Bills came out, had a terrible first half. Nothing went right. Offense, defense, nothing was going right for him. But I did think that second half of football got the fans back in the game, and I think the team got back in the game. They couldn't really put together, I don't think they could put together like a 2 series on offense, and I think that's all they really needed to get back in this game. They couldn't get that defensive turnover that was going to lead to points, right? Things like that. So, you know, Allen comes out in the second half, leads the team down for his first touchdown series. He didn't throw the touchdown, but his first touchdown series. Great to see. Defense comes out, gets a couple stops in a row, but the offense just could not capitalize on the defense getting them to go 3 and out. And it's just the sign of a bad team, right? If they were a little bit better and they could play the complementary football, I think they could have gotten back in that game. But it was nice to see, you know, McDermott talks about a lot, guys fighting for him and fighting for the team and playing to the end. I saw that today. I didn't see a team that quit on this game. I think they could have quit on this game, and they didn't. And so that at least shows me something. You know, so I'm always going to try to look for the silver lining here in these matchups and in these bad games like this, right? Because it's not fun being a Bills fan and getting, I think they've given up 78 points in the last 2 weeks. So it's not fun to get blown out multiple weeks in a row, but you got to look for the silver lining through all this. This year is about evaluation and evaluating the guys you got. And McDermott talks about it all the time, and building that culture and setting that standard. And it might not look good at the end of the game today, but setting that standard is playing through even when you're getting beat really bad and playing through that game and playing to the end. And I thought they did a good job of that today. I thought they put themselves in a position to make a comeback in the game, could not capitalize, like I said. So that definitely hurts them. But there's some good things to be seen out of it. I'm going to be interested to see what Eric sees when he really breaks into that all 22 and starts telling you, what we didn't see on the broadcast view and what we missed. I think you're going to see Allen held onto the ball a little too long. I think, like I said, some wide receivers were open. Some assignments were missed on the offensive line. And those are things too, guys. I was in the stadium and just heard, oh, the offensive line stinks. Who's number 76 or whatever? And what I saw on the sack that the guy was referencing was it looked like a blown communication between the left tackle and the left guard. And nothing more than that. And that's going to happen when you have a quarterback that is not, he's a rookie quarterback. He's not calling out all the protections. You got a center that's a first-time starting center. You're going to have some of these issues where guys aren't calling out the right protections or guys aren't communicating. Offensive line is all about consistency and playing together for a long period of time. The idea is that these guys will get better over a period of time. Start making changes now. That's not going to help these guys because they have to play together. They have to communicate with each other. That's the only way that this offensive line, I'm not going to say they're going to be good, but the only way they're going to be serviceable is if they play together and communicate together, because that particular sack I was talking about, and I'll have to go back and find it, could have been at least a better play or an extended play if that communication exists, right? I don't think the physical talent isn't always there. I think a lot of these issues that they're having on the offensive line comes down to communication and execution. I think that they've shown, especially in pass protection, that they can communicate well at times and provide pass protection, because we're seeing it. There was a lot of people complaining he was holding on to the ball too long. And the only way you're able to hold on to the ball is if you're getting some pass protection up front. So they've shown it at times. It just needs to be consistent, and that communication needs to get a little bit better so guys aren't just getting blown off spots that they're supposed to be, and they just had a miscommunication. So that's something I want to see kind of cleaned up a little bit as we're going forward, right? It's an evaluation phase. This is the process, right? We're evaluating all the things, and you just want to see small incremental improvements going forward week to week throughout this season. I saw it today, improvement from yesterday to today. So as long as they continue on that steady improvement, I'm totally fine. I've already, again, I said it earlier today, just now, that I think they're a 4 to 6 win team. So I'm already there in my mind. I'm not expecting a lot. So I'm looking for in-game small victories. And I would suggest that the fans do too. I see a lot of fans upset right now in the process and everything that's going on. And I suggest you guys just kind of take a step back. This isn't the playoff team that they were a year ago. That's okay. It's a year for evaluating all your talent and looking for what you really are going to need moving forward in 2019, 2020, when a lot of cap space opens up. You have 10 draft picks next year. You have a lot of flexibility to go get stuff. So look for the small victories and the silver lining, because it's going to get cleaned up a little bit throughout the year. That's the goal anyway. In the chat box here, Robert Foster showed some development today. I thought it was interesting how much he played. Obviously, we knew that was going to be coming with Curly, but he was out there a lot. I think he's an interesting matchup. I'd like to see a little bit more of him. I'd like to see him target him a little bit more. I think there's something there. He's not a physical guy, though. There was one ball Allen threw up, and it could have been an easy interception, and it shouldn't have been that easy of a play for the defensive back. He's just not physical at the point of attack. I don't know if that's just him needing to gain more mass, become a little bit of a bigger man, so that he can fight off these DBs. But that kind of bummed me out a little bit to see that ball go. I mean, that was almost an easy interception. I think it was in the end zone, and he could have just made a stronger play on it. He just doesn't fight for the ball. Greg was saying Trent Murphy, or not Trent Murphy. He was saying, what was he saying over here? Oh, he said Trent Murphy flashed a couple times. I didn't see much out of Trent Murphy, to be honest. I saw him come in a couple times. It did look like, and Eric tweeted it out during the game at Cover One, on the Cover One Twitter handle, that McDermott seemed to be taking over the play calling in the second half. I think that's a big story. And you notice the difference. Everyone in the stands noticed the difference, especially in the pass rush in the second half. They were getting after it. Things changed a whole lot in the second half. And if that's the case, I want to know what happened, what led up to McDermott saying enough's enough. I'm going to take this over. And what that means for Leslie Frazier going forward is was there an issue in communication between McDermott and Frazier? I have no idea. I'm not trying to create any type of conspiracies or really speculate too much here, but definitely something to keep an eye on as the weeks go by. I haven't heard McDermott's press conference yet, so I don't know if he addressed that. I'm guessing he has not addressed that directly to the media. Does not seem like a McDermott thing to do, but that is going to be an interesting story. That see how that develops here throughout the week. Is McDermott going to take over play calling full time? If it's anything like that second half looked, I'm all for it. McDermott take over the play calling. You got the experience doing it. Let Daboll control the offense. You control the defense and ride out this year. I'm totally fine with that. I'm a big Leslie Frazier fan, but something's not working on the defense. So if it's not working, you gotta find something to fix it. So yeah, definitely an interesting story there with McDermott, and hopefully we see some type of resolution to what that was about. I'm really interested to find out what's going on there. I know people are getting frustrated with, we're talking about play calling. People are getting frustrated with Daboll, but you got to understand, man, he does not have a lot of talent to work with. I think that I don't know so much that the plays that are being drawn up are not good plays. I think that it's an execution problem here for the Bills right now. I think it's a number of issues when you look at every play, and it's a lack of consistency all around. So plays are there to be made. Coaches don't draw up dumb plays often, right? It definitely happens in the league, but a guy like Daboll's not drawing up bad plays. It's just bad execution. I don't know what they have to do at this point. You're already in the season to get that execution better. Again, I think it's going to come back to small wins, a little bit at a time, incremental stuff all throughout the season, hoping that you see progression. That's really all I'm hoping for right now. Is I want to see progression out of Josh Allen all throughout the season. I want to see progression out of some of the young linemen. I want to see progression out of Zay Jones, big time. He almost dropped that bomb by Allen, bounced right off his chest, and he would have had to leave with Vontae Davis at halftime if he drops that ball. I'm telling you right now, the fans would have killed him. He ends up catching it. Hopefully that builds a little confidence, but you need to see this progression and development over time. Looks like Rob's over in the chat box now, so sorry for all you guys that Rob wasn't here. Now he's just messing with you in the chat box. Before I got in here, one thing I want to address that doesn't have to do with the game. I saw a lot of people arguing about the should have, would have, could have. We're going to hear a lot about guys like Patrick Mahomes. The Bills should have drafted Patrick Mahomes, right? I don't agree. I mean, obviously in hindsight, yeah, the kid looks good. He's in Kansas City with Andy Reid. Andy Reid has done a good job developing quarterbacks. Kansas City has a ton of talent on the offensive side of the ball. I would love to see any quarterback, with that talent on the offensive side of the ball. So that helps, not taking anything away from Mahomes. But guys, we can't live in a world of hindsight of Bills should have done X. Bills should have done this. Bills should have kept Ronald Darby. Okay, like that is just not how things work. What you have is what you got to work with, right? Ronald Darby, I saw this pop up last week. Ronald Darby was having issues fitting into McDermott's scheme. He is more of a man corner. He wants to play a lot more man. I know Bills are trying to transition into man more often now. They're not quite there yet. So playing these shoulda, woulda, coulda games. I mean, you could go on for days. I don't think there are a lot of valid arguments to doing that. And I think it's that it creates for bad narratives to play the we should have drafted this guy, we should have taken this, or we should have done that differently. We didn't. We got to move forward with what you got and figure out ways to win with the guys you have on the field. I think it's going to be hard to do this year, figure out ways to win, but they're going to have to figure it out. Do we have any questions here in the chat box? We're talking about Joe Webb. So it's been a long day, and people might be a little bit tired from the heat when we're starting to talk about Joe Webb here in the chat box. But yeah, it looked like a man. The Chargers were taking advantage of that. That's what I mean, really, as I don't think they hit right now. I think they'd like to play a lot more man. I don't think they have the talent to do it across the board. Tre'Davious White, I'm not worried about. It's almost everything else that I'm worried about them playing man. Even the linebackers, who I like the linebackers, and I think they're good coverage guys. I don't know that they can do it consistently. I don't think outside of Tre'Davious White that anybody else on this in the defensive backfield is doing a good job, and I'm not sure that any of them can play man for any cover of time, any type of time against NFL wide receivers. So we're seeing, should they consider giving McDermott a run at tackle or Teller at guard? Greg, I'm not there yet with Teller. I think when I look at Teller, I think of Matt Milano. And when I think of that, I think of bringing him along slowly. We're only in week 2. I think that he needs some more development. I'd like to see him develop over the next 5-6 weeks or so in practice settings. Let them feel comfortable bringing him in, unless Vlad just totally eats it. But and he has at times. But I would like to see Teller get slowly brought into this process, and kind of how Milano was. Because again, for me personally, it's not about this year. Obviously, we want to protect Allen, get that run game going. But I think for his personal development, I want to see that slowly brought through time. McDermott, I don't know, man. I haven't seen enough from him that gets me excited to say, hey, let's go give that kid a shot. But I guess if you're evaluating your talent at some point, he's going to have to get a shot to play. And that might happen naturally through injuries, or they may bring him in and just get sick of what they're seeing on the offensive line. So we'll see on McDermott, but I do think Teller is going to be starting at some point this year. I think it's just going to be a matter of when is that. Tim Quinn, another Quinn's in here. We like that. Thoughts on Ray McCloud? I hope he gets healthy. I liked what I saw to Ray in the preseason. I think they could have used a guy like that today. Zay Jones and Kelvin just struggle at times to get open. I think you saw when Foster got out there, that speed was helpful. He seemed to get open a couple times. So that speed's going to be an added benefit to a guy like Josh Allen. Allen had some comfort with Ray McCloud throughout the preseason. So the quicker Ray can get over his injury and get out there, I'm all for it. They need help at receiver, and they need help at pass catching positions. So as soon as Ray can get out there, let's do it. Let's see what he's got. He's also, I know Marcus Murphy's done a pretty good job in the punt game, although today he made some big mistakes. Trying to catch that one punt where he got nailed, you can't do that. And yeah, I just didn't love what I saw out of him in the punt game today, but he's done a good job returning punts in the preseason and so far this year for the most part. Murphy has. So obviously he'll continue to go, but I think Ray McCloud gives you that as well. So I'll be excited when he's back. Mike Stock says, wondering if they bring back Riley. I don't think they do. I think if they were going to, they would have done it at this point. I just don't see them bringing back Riley. They're getting rid of Curley. I think they're going to make some moves here over the week, and you're going to see a lot of moves here. I know people saw the Curley cut, just different things happening the last couple of weeks. Vontae not playing, being inactive. They are going to be making moves constantly. That is what this year is going to be like. Bean did it with tinkering with the bottom part of the roster all year last year. You're going to see guys in and out of here. Again, guys, this is not, to me personally, I have no facts to back this up except for just analyzing all the things they say. I think that this is really a build up to the 2019-2020 season. So bringing in guys, see who fits, see if they can find any guys, and that's it. We got any word on McCoy's status? I had a great view of that injury, and it looked like the offensive lineman just bounced off his rib cage. So I'm guessing that the longer he sits tonight, the more that hurts. He was able to come back in, but that's the type of thing where you get off the field and that just you're not able to breathe, you're not able to talk. I heard he had issues talking and didn't want to speak to the media because of his ribs. So that's definitely, the McCoy thing's definitely something to keep an eye on, that I got lost in this crazy game. So I appreciate you guys bringing that up in the chat, because that's going to be something to keep an eye on. Again, though, in a year where I'm not expecting a lot as far as wins and losses, that's good. Not that it's good, but it gets Murphy a chance to get a little bit more carries. I'd like to see that personally in a regular season game. See what this kid's got, see if he is the future at the running back position. Also, Ivory's not the future, but get him a little bit more carries, see what you got out of that. I thought he did pretty well today when he did get the ball. So kind of see what you have. Yeah, Groy sat right on him. Yeah, it looked like Groy bounced off his ribs. I'm not even going to lie. It looked like he was sitting on one of those yoga balls or something and just bounced right off, and it didn't look good. I have a toddler who jumps on my ribs and that hurts. I couldn't imagine a almost 300-pound man doing it. So didn't look good for Shady. Something to keep an eye on going into next week. Obviously, they need him. They need him to get going bad. Somebody says you should trade Shady. I mean, this is an argument we've had a bunch. I don't think you're getting anything for Shady. His stock right now is down. He hasn't been able to do much. I don't know how many teams are in need of a 30-year-old running back. Obviously, I like Shady. I think he has a lot to offer any team. I just don't know what you're going to get for a guy like that at 30 years old with his contract. It's got to be a team that's in win now mode that thinks Shady puts them over the edge to compete for a Super Bowl. And I just can't think of a team off the top of my head that says, all right, you add Shady McCoy to this team and they're a Super Bowl contender that doesn't already have a running back or something. So I think it has to be, in order to get a trade for Shady, I think it has to be totally the right circumstance. I think somebody's got to be willing to overpay, because I don't think McBean and Brandon Bean are going to just give him away. I think they're going to want to get something for him. He's a captain. So that it would be kind of crazy too, to have a guy named captain in the locker room and then trade him 3 weeks later. So all those things kind of combined, I just don't see Shady getting traded. Now, not out of the realm of possibilities, obviously. Bean has been known to make some aggressive trades, move some guys that have big names. He will do those things. I just don't know that they're going to be able to get a trade. Even if they wanted to trade him, I don't know what they'll get in return for him. I think it's a 4th or 5th round pick max. I think a lot of people, I've heard people say a 2nd, 3rd round pick. I think that's dreaming a little bit, but you never know. He might be able to talk somebody into it. I just don't see it. Seeing Josh Gordon's name popped up again, a guy I don't see. I like Josh Gordon a lot when he's on the field. He can be productive, but when you have to say when he's on the field, that's always a concern, right? And I just don't know that he fits the process. And it sounded like maybe there was an issue with his, not just substance abuse or anything like that, but there's a trust issue. And I don't think that's to the standard that Sean McDermott talks about. So because of that, I mean, they brought in Corey Coleman as an experiment. That didn't work out. He didn't live up to that standard. Is Josh Gordon going to come in and live up to that standard? I don't know. I mean, Josh Gordon's going to hit free agency tomorrow. So he's going to have his pick of the litter too. Is he going to want to come to Buffalo? I think a little bit. Buffalo is not obviously an ideal spot for a guy like that, looking to really set the tone in his career and make a change. I think he's going to want to get on with a competitive team that's going to make a playoff run and be on primetime games so he can up his value himself, maybe sign a 1-year deal with somebody. I can't see him wanting to come to Buffalo. I just don't see it. I don't see it's a fit. Des Bryant isn't in Buffalo. I know a lot of people had speculated that. I just don't know that the Bills are setting a lot of value on wide receivers right now. I think that is a plan for the future. Again, 2019, 2020, to build up those skill players and positions and stuff like that. Guys, I appreciate all of you coming out with me today. My voice is cracking. It's been a really long day. I sweat for 3 hours out there in the sun out of the game. I'm tired. I'd love to stay on longer and talk with you guys all about the game, but I'm crashing hard over here. I appreciate you all coming out, because I wouldn't have done this without you guys here. Obviously, we tried to have Rob Quinn on. That didn't work out. We'll get Rob back on. I want to hear his takes. I think he had a lot to say about the game, so I'm a little bit disappointed that he didn't get out here or couldn't get out here with the mic or anything like that. So hoping we get Rob Quinn back on maybe this week and see what his thoughts on the game were. If you don't get to hear Rob, you'll definitely be able to see him at cover1.net. You'll be able to see all of his content coming out this week, as long as Fernando, Eric's obviously going to be dropping all kinds of content. Nate's going to be back with the show next week, looking at the matchup ahead. So we'll see, guys. It's going to be an interesting year. I hate to sound like that Kool-Aid drinking fanboy, but just trust the process, guys. It is the process. We're in the process. We're knee deep in it. So just trust it. There's no stopping it now. So let it roll out, let it ride, and just try to find those little small victories, guys. Yeah, somebody says you got a redneck. It's true, man. It was a hot day out there, guys. But you know what? I love the Bills, and I'll sit through the heat. So thanks for joining me, guys. I got to get out of here. And we can't do it without you. We really appreciate you guys, and make sure you're following everything, and we'll catch up with you the rest of the week. Thanks so much, guys.